Welcome and thank you for clicking on my video. Today we're going to get into that technical analysis, but first, this channel is dedicated to really providing helpful information. And so last night I was looking at the charts, and maybe it's because I had a stressful time with baby girl because now she can yell at me and things like that when she wants something. But I just didn't feel in the necessary mindset to really give you guys the best video. And so what I wanted to do was look at the charts at night, take a little break, sleep on it, come in the morning, and then put out a video giving you guys those three scenarios. If you want to check out all three of those scenarios, we're probably going to tackle at least one of them because one of them is proving as of right now. And if you want to see those, though, you can look at the previous video that's on my channel if you want to go through all three. But at this moment, I think it's very important that we bring up the fact that, yes, scenario number one is really, really looking good. And all that really is the higher low. But I think we need to understand that there needs to be solidified good news out there. And so I wanted to discuss some things going on in the media that they keep going on and on and on about tariffs, and also about potentially Trump firing Jerome Powell. We kept seeing that everywhere, seeing that everywhere, seeing that everywhere, and we had some things to say about it, right? We saw that Donald Trump actually had some things to say about that, and so we're going to show you guys that clip real quick saying, hey, is Donald Trump going to fire Jerome Powell? Let's see.
Late's not good.
Mr. President,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Mr. President,
there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus whenever they have a child. Are you considering that? Or are you
Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, please.
You have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because your economic advisor Kevin Hassett a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea of possibly getting before his term ends.
No.
Do you have any plans on doing that?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Now you look at that, and I know we don't normally pay attention to a lot of these type of things. I do think that money is what we need to be following when looking at markets. I really think momentum can tell you everything that you need to know. And if you want to manage risk, well, momentum is going to tell you when to manage that risk in your trade. So I am a true believer in that because I always believe that there's at least a 5% amount of people that know something before you do. So I like to pay attention to divergences, the probabilities, and all things like that. And we're going to get into that, but I think it's important for us to understand that this really needs to be on some good news. And so I wanted to show you the press secretary coming out and talking about tariffs and let you get your own thoughts about that right now.
Spoke to our entire trade team this morning. There is a lot of progress being made. We now have 18 proposals on paper that have been brought to the trade team. Again, these are proposals on paper that countries have proposed to the Trump administration and to our government. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, NEC Director Hassett, and Peter Navarro, the entire trade team, meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We are moving at Trump speed to ensure these deals are made on behalf of the American worker and the American people. And just yesterday, it seemed to get a little bit lost in the news, and I think it's a disservice to the American public that it did. The Vice President announced terms of reference for a trade deal with India. That is a big deal. We know when we look at the numbers, the monetary trade barriers and the non-monetary trade barriers from India, they have been ripping off the United States and American workers for a very long time. So the fact that the Vice President with Prime Minister Modi on that trip in India announced these terms of reference, which is essentially a framework to move the ball forward to sign a good trade deal between our two nations, is great progress, and it speaks to the work ethic and the real labor that's being put into this effort by the president's trade team.
Oof, finally, we're done looking at some news stuff. You guys know it's not necessarily my favorite thing because I just like to look at the charts, but sometimes it is helpful in these type of environments. So we do see that Donald Trump wasn't necessarily, or maybe he was and he flip-flopped, but either way, he announced, hey, I do not have any plans to fire Jerome Powell, but he did say something key, and that is he needs to see rates potentially going down. He is still putting that pressure on Jerome Powell saying, hey, we want those rates to go down. we knew that the rates had a chance to go up because there was daily divergence on your MACD and flat on your RSI at the same time, right? We can see that down here on your MACD and RSI. So we were aware that if this curled up, it could be a little bit of a problem, right? And people weren't most likely not going to celebrate that fact, and the bond market was going to be in serious trouble. But Trump is now pushing for this. So what we want to see from this is the yields actually end up curling down on the daily chart. And we will notice here that if you pull this to a 4-hour chart, this could be a great opportunity right now for a 4-hour lower high, right? We see that we could even see some structure here that if this would curl down, we could see a pretty good drop. So we do see some inclination that the yields have a chance to drop here, but we need to see more of that because as of right now, it's turned up in what? Positive territory, which means right now with the information that we have on this chart, we do see positivity as the continuation until something changes. Now that could change very quickly overnight and we'll pay attention to that, but let's get into the market here because now we know that there are potentially some trade deals going on. Now I do want you to understand the language that was overall used over there. Proposed, these have been proposed. In a negotiation, when something is proposed, is it, hey, I propose this, and then it happens, and everyone accepts everything and shakes hands, hugs, gives a kiss to some babies, and then everyone goes on their dandy way and the economy does great. No, this still is a negotiation period where if it is not good for the United States, Donald Trump most likely is not even going to blink at it, right? So we really need to pay attention if this good news is sustainable, if something solid is actually there. A proposal is great. You can read into it, but exactly that could be happening right now. People could be reading into the fact that there's a proposal, but really be thinking, okay, a proposal means there has to be a deal tonight. So I wanted to first just point out the 2-hour and what we're paying attention to for now, because it is scenario number 1. And scenario number 2, as we head to the upside, it's not necessarily looking at a lot can happen in the post market, right? This could end up opening down in these areas. We could open at this area, get some bad news and curl back down. So we will go over scenario 2. But for the SPY here, we can notice that what was scenario 1? Scenario 1 was we are going to form a bottom when everyone is saying Black Monday. We saw the 30-minute divergence and caught a nice trade. Thank you to the charts. Make sure when the charts make it simple and you see a 30-minute divergence outside of your high probable zones, man, say thank you to the charts because this was a fantastic trade and it even confirmed at about 501.50. Fantastic trade, went directly to a weekly expected move. We said great chance to make a decision, hedging, leaving runners, taking profit in some way, all of those decisions, that was stated here. Thank you to my Patreon members. For the time being though, scenario number 1 was simple. We're going to curl up. We're not going to revisit the lows, and we are going to see a 2-hour pullback that maybe gets a little bit deep, but ends up curling up into positive territory. And towards the end of the day, you do see this green blip. Now, this is not necessarily the best confirmation. So something that I like to do when the 2-hour confirmation is on the last bar of the day, the reason it's not a good confirmation, by the way, is because you only have 30 minutes in this bar right here. This green bar only has 30 minutes in it. So what I wanted to do was show you guys what I do to see if it's a good confirmation. I look at the 4-hour chart on the SPX 500. I just look at a futures market. I look at the 4-hour chart and I see if we got a good confirmation. We did get a good confirmation here from the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour is like the 2-hour for the SPY. So we know this is a good confirmation, and that's fantastic. That means that scenario 1 could be playing out right now, honestly. So something we want to pay attention to is the fact that this upward move right now is on Jerome Powell news. Jerome Powell not getting fired. That's potentially good news, which means, hey, now we're starting to look more and more like pullback when we get into that 30-minute. But we're running directly into that daily expected move at 536.37, and a lot can happen by morning. So I want to talk about this like we're just viewing this price action right now. Okay, if we're going to continue, that's great. That's scenario number 1 trying to play out. So 518.13 to the downside as well for your daily expected move. So what we need to understand is if people are guessing into this in some way and we get up to these areas and then they get bad news again, it can still get ripped down, right? If people are really saying, oh, a deal's going to get solidified tomorrow and that's what I'm betting on, well, then that's going to be a big problem if the deal doesn't get solidified because it's just a proposal. So we're looking for something solid. When you see something solid, you most likely won't see this and fail. You will most likely see this or even go all the way up to 576. So 566, 576, because people were not expecting a deal to be solidified, especially when you come to China, India, Japan, these type of countries. That would be fantastic. And that most likely is not priced into these weekly expected moves. So I would expect the unexpected because something unexpected did happen if something was solidified. I'm going to keep saying that over and over. So if we're going to say do whatever at this point, maybe see a fade in the morning, anything like that, we can still pay attention to scenario two. Scenario two, with the price action that we have, not including the post market, is still on the table. Scenario number two was we are going to see people read into the good news before it's actually solidified good news. And we're in that scenario right now where if the 30-minute would curl down from this type of area or maybe just fade completely in the morning, right? It can still happen. And we actually get unexpected bad news, maybe as people are expecting a solidified deal and they don't get that and they realize, oh, there's going to be a little bit more time, they're going to overreact because that would be then unexpected to not get those proposals to go through. So that means that the 30-minute is going to cross down into negative territory, and we could see this head down to that weekly expected move if it's unexpected, and bam, you see a 30-minute divergence. We see that 30-minute divergence on the MACD, on the RSI at the same time, boom, boom. This would be a fantastic way for the market to turn around. Now, we want to make sure to wait for confirmation because this is in risky times. Waiting for confirmations is a perfectly fine thing to do. But the reason that that area down there is so important is because that would take you down towards that 95% dotted yellow line for the month, and we're heading into the end of the month. So if we see any kind of reversal signals down in this area, we need to be paying attention. Now, at this moment, I do want to use the futures market to briefly talk about scenario number three. Scenario number three would be that the daily chart is actually going to curl down at some point here, and we are going to make a daily divergence down at lower levels. That would be the scenario that looks scarier but takes out this low. And guess what? If that buy never comes back in, it never turns back up on this MACD, creating that divergence, then we could head down to lower levels. That's why you don't necessarily want scenario three to fully happen unless you like cheap prices and you have a good gut on you and you're able to react, right? Trading like water in this environment is going to be very good. But those are just a few of the scenarios we were going through. I know we went through them briefly. If you want a longer statement on those, there's a video that we posted in the morning today that you can go check out. It's the previous video on my channel. So for the time being, once we start to think about the post market and what's happening right now, if this is sustained, this can be a good thing because of one thing. Now the 30-minute, if we're able to hold that level or even see good news, we could start to do something crazy. Or once we get up to these levels, we could start to see pullbacks, right? Pullbacks from these areas because we see pullbacks in these type of areas. As the MACD does go more and more positive, we can start to pay attention more so to pullbacks and less to the actual downside going to the weekly expected move. So these are just some things I wanted to point out to you guys. It looks very good. It looks like scenario number one is overall playing out with that 2-hour higher low, and that's fantastic. And it's our job to make sure to look out for those rocks coming down the stream. And one of those would be people are reading too much into the fact that there are proposals and not necessarily reading into the fact that nothing has been solidified just yet. So I don't want to take my fear goggles, my risk goggles off just yet. I want to make sure to pay attention to what the price action does tomorrow in the morning. And we will be live in the morning on YouTube if you would like to join us so that we can watch this stuff and tell you some stuff, right? You can ask questions. You can ask questions about the course that's 80% off down there, the full technical analysis course. You can ask us about Patreon, and you can always ask me to look at a stock, and I'm more than happy to look at one for you. So for the Qs, we see a very similar scenario. We saw the 30-minute divergence outside of the monthly expected move and boom to the upside. And now we're overall pulling back pretty aggressively, but this can still be a higher low if the 2-hour can curl up, and boom, it curls up at the end of the day. We're seeing some positivity here, so things are looking good, but we need to see that solid news come out, or else we're at risk of another drop, right? Some kind of pullback maybe if we're able to hold up higher. If we're not able to hold up higher and we fade this by morning or early on in the morning, then we might still want to be paying attention to scenario number two. But for the Qs, I just real quickly wanted to give you those daily expected moves. We see 452.77 to the upside, and we see 436.19 to the downside. So these are going to be your key levels for tomorrow. You can see that the post market is like stopping right on that move right there. So we'll pay attention to this, but something that would be very, very nice is getting past this up here. This is where your bears are going to be lurking. So if that good news is just potential good news and people realize, oh, this is just nothing solid and we need to turn down, well, at least your MACD will be able to go a little bit more positive, which would mean pullbacks are a more likely scenario. Just for your awareness here, pullbacks have been very, very aggressive. This right here was a pullback. right? So they can be very aggressive in this environment when people don't get what they want. It's kind of like a temper tantrum that my daughter throws. But if people don't get the exact thing that they want, they are quick to hit that sell button, which means trading like water is going to be a great thing. We pay attention to the rocks down the stream, and then we find out which way the market is overall, or the water is overall wanting to go, and then we just go that way. So we end up in the meadow, and we're quick to react at every single rock we see. And I think we just need to take into consideration the price action from today and still keep in mind some of the risk and just appreciate the fact that the post market is heading up, meaning scenario 1 is going very, very well. Why were we even paying attention to the 2-hour being able to curl up? Did we have any hints? And the truth of it is, yes, we did have some hints out there. Meta overall going to lower levels, showing a 30-minute divergence, showing also a 2-hour divergence across at the same time. And both of those things confirmed today. So Meta was saying this is a bottom. That is what Meta is saying at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that it cannot fail. We will be paying attention to those. But let's look at a few other things that were really hinting to us, hey, things could get pretty good. Amazon overall not showing the 30-minute divergence, but showing the 2-hour across. That's fantastic because you need daily momentum to take over and head to the upside. And Amazon is really saying like this could be a potential bottom right now if we can hold on to that good price, right? If we can continue in that upward direction, people don't sell for some kind of reason. No bad news comes out, but people just keep reading into good news. We see a deal, we see something solid. That would be fantastic because you do have 2-hour divergence on your MACD. You have 2-hour divergence on your RSI. Both of those are significant. And I want to show you something because Amazon has a daily divergence as well, right? This is very, very close to confirming a daily divergence. You are like one step away. You have 2/3 of the golden setup that we talk about in the full technical analysis course down there in the description. It's just one of the most, it is the best setup that I have. It gives you the most reasons behind a trade, which is where I like to risk a lot more money. When I have more reasons, I risk more money because it is higher probability to play out with more reasons to take the trade. So it's fantastic. And if Amazon has divergence and that daily divergence confirms, it's going to be very, very difficult for Amazon to say, whip back down. Now, watch out for earnings. Those are going to be 50-50 flips. Let's go look for something else. NVIDIA overall curling down here. We already have markings off on our charts. Why did we have those? Because we put out a video this morning suggesting that NVIDIA was giving some hints. The semiconductor market was overall showing some weakness in momentum, and we were looking for the 2-hour, right? Let's go into this correctly. We were looking for the 2-hour to be able to curl up. Now, we did not see that from NVIDIA yet, but the 30-minute was giving us a hint. You see the divergence flat on the MACD, kind of flat, slightly up on the RSI. We can zoom in on that so you can see that it's up on the RSI, so you know, hey, I'm not lying to you. But we noticed that it wasn't able to curl up the 2-hour chart yet. So this is one of the hints, though, that we saw that said, hey, the 2-hour could curl up here. And so we're paying attention to that scenario number 1. And now if the 2-hour is able to curl up, the thing that you need for NVIDIA is to get through some key levels where the bears would be lurking. And you have very obvious levels for a lot of stocks where bears would be lurking. So let's just pay attention. And then on this way up, we have to make sure there is no failure, right? Things can go wrong at any point. A stock can go down or a stock can go up for any reason at any moment, whenever. And that's why when people ask, hey, could this stock go to this price? During the live show, you probably heard this. Hey, can this stock go to this price today? I always say yes. But the big point to you is it probable? Is it a setup? Is it a good opportunity right now for that move to happen? And at this moment, what is NVIDIA saying? It's saying this is a good moment where the 2-hour is going to attempt to make a higher low here. So pay attention if it goes right. That's the plan for the trade, but also pay attention if it goes wrong. We do see the similar thing from AMD, not seeing the most positivity, but giving you that divergence as well. So fantastic stuff there. And the other hint that we really were watching that we didn't necessarily talk about in the video, but everyone was asking, why is Bitcoin going up? Why is Bitcoin going up? Why is Bitcoin going up? When I remember multiple times, everyone always asked me to talk or to look at Bitcoin during the live show, and multiple times mentioning this is divergence, right? We have that blatant divergence on your MACD. You have triple divergence down there on the RSI. That actually was able to confirm at a price point of 83.3K. And then I said, what I want to see for this to head up as we are consolidating on the 4-hour is I want that 4-hour to cross up, and I want us to get above and hold above 91.8K. This is a problematic area for Bitcoin, and this is fantastic to see us blowing through it. We could still wick underneath it, right? It can be resistance. Why can it be resistance? Because we've used it as support, 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 support. and then we lose it. And what do? Resistance, resistance, and now are we going to use it as resistance again? So this is the worrisome area right now. I would like us to get well above that and start to use it as support for Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin has this kind of look, it's kind of difficult for me to say, oh yeah, this is going to be absolutely terrible. Another thing that we were overall paying attention to was the dollar, right? The dollar, I want to see positivity from the dollar here. And we did have some inclination that the dollar could turn around. Now, this is not a great reversal signal, so we could dip down one more time, but this is fantastic for the dollar. Right? This is not a signal that I like to risk money behind because it doesn't have enough reasons, but this still has enough to flip around the trend. You have a MACD divergence here, but you do not see it on the RSI, which tells me, hey, I'm maybe not taking a trade with it, but I can pay attention to it because this is still a reversal signal. It's just not a very, very, very good one. But you notice that it is producing upside, and that's why we were mentioning it. We want to see strength in the dollar. The reason at this moment you want to see strength in the dollar is because everyone is switching out of the dollar right now and going into other currencies. That's a big problem for, your currency. You really want people to be able to be trading in your market with your currency. That's going to be a big deal. So we would like to see the dollar get some positivity here as the daily chart for the dollar is super deep. Just be aware that this could still be complex for the dollar over time, but this is starting to be some good signs out there. The other thing we were mentioning was volatility. Volatility overall just not necessarily showing the things that you would see if some kind of mega crash is going to happen right now. Now, things could form, things can change very quickly, and volatility did not break down dramatically today, but I'd like to see what it does tomorrow because the most likely thing that volatility was saying was it's going to continue to head down, and we're going to go test that that level of 20 right there, or the 200 down there as well. So we ought to get through the 50 to start off, but for now, we really want to pay attention to the fact that the daily chart is crossed down. Volatility should be up here with the levels that we were at for the SPY, but it wasn't. And we read into that and we looked at a 2-hour chart. We saw that it was very controlled here. And we said, if that 2-hour chart can cross, that is a good sign that the positivity is going to start. And maybe you see some good news come out, right? I am big on just reading into the charts. And the reason that we were paying attention to those charts, those hints out there, like Meta, like Amazon, like AMD, like Nvidia, like the dollar having that little signal, like all those things. The reason we were paying attention to that was because I believe that markets move before the actual news comes out. I've always thought that because people always know a little bit more than you do. At this moment, the 2-hour looks like it has crossed down. That means the probable thing is head to the downside. We want to be aware if that whips up at any time for the management of risk. But a lot of things here, I could keep going and point out things that look good. We do have the housing sector coming back, able to curl up on the 2-hour, able to retest these highs while the market is still down in these type of areas. That is a very good thing, and the housing sector can lead the market a lot of the time. So I know I'm bouncing around a lot, and I'm just trying to get this out there quick because baby girl is just screaming at my wife. So I hope that this video was really, really helpful for you. I genuinely do. I just wanted to point out that scenario 1 so far is going really well. We will still be paying attention to risk in the morning, and we'll be talking about these things live on YouTube in the morning if you would like to join us. So thank you so much. Sorry for the hasty video. I appreciate your time, and so hopefully you were able to get something helpful from this. Have a great night. Peace out.